In a small village surrounded by hills where the air was always fresh and the scenery breathtaking, lived an old man named Govind, who was known throughout the village. Now Govind was known for being a bit grumpy and very, very cheap. He rarely smiled and kept to himself. He thought being nice was a waste of time and only cared about himself, hoarding his few belongings and never sharing. He never helped anyone, always saying things like, "Look out for number one," and turning his back on those in need. One sunny afternoon, Govind was coming back from the market, his steps slow and deliberate. As usual, he had bought just a little bit of rice, holding it tightly in his hand as if it were a treasure. The sun was hot and the path was dusty, making the journey back home quite tiring. Suddenly he heard a tiny cry, a sound that was almost lost in the rustling of the leaves. It was a weak, desperate sound, like a plea for help from a tiny creature. He looked around and saw a small bird lying hurt under a big tree, its tiny body trembling. Its wing was broken and it couldn't fly, leaving it vulnerable and scared. Govind wasn't sure what to do. It was just a bird. What good was a bird anyway? But something about the helpless creature made him feel sad. He had never felt this way before. Slowly he went closer to the bird. It was scared and shaking. Govind gently picked it up. He felt like he had to help this little creature. He decided to take it home. Carefully he tore a piece of cloth from his own clothes to make a sling for the bird's wing. He gave it water and grains, taking care of it like he never thought he could. Days passed, then weeks. Govind took good care of the bird, feeding it, changing its bandage, and even talking to it softly. The bird seemed to know he was being kind. It would chirp happily when he was near and snuggle in his hand. One evening, a scary storm came to the village. The wind howled, and rain beat against Govind's hut. He was scared. He had heard stories about these storms turning into terrible floods. Suddenly, he heard a familiar chirp. The bird he had helped was at his window. It was flapping its wings like crazy, trying to tell him to follow. Trusting the bird, Govind followed it as it flew through the storm. The bird led him through the scary storm, showing him the way to higher ground. The wind howled and the rain poured, but the bird never wavered. Finally, they reached the top of a hill, safe from the rising water. Govind could see the floodwaters receding below. Tired but safe, Govind watched in amazement as the bird flew around above him before disappearing into the storm. It was as if the bird had come just to save him. That night, Govind understood how important it is to be kind. He reflected on his actions and their consequences. He had helped a helpless creature without expecting anything back, and that kindness had saved his life. The experience changed Govind deeply. He wasn't that grumpy, stingy old man anymore. He felt a new sense of purpose. He started helping other villagers, sharing his food and lending a hand whenever he could. His actions inspired others. Govind had learned that kindness is like a boomerang. It comes back to you, sometimes when you least expect it. The villagers were amazed at his transformation. He became the kindest man in the village, showing everyone that even small acts of kindness can have big, amazing results. Govind's story became a legend in the village. Govind's kindness continued to spread throughout the village. It was as if a single spark had ignited a wildfire of goodwill and compassion. People started to notice the change in him and were inspired to be kinder themselves. They began to see the value in small acts of kindness, realizing that even the smallest gesture could make a big difference. The village became a happier place, with everyone helping each other. Neighbors who once barely spoke were now sharing meals and stories, creating a sense of unity and belonging. Govind's story became a legend, teaching future generations the power of kindness. Children would gather around the elders, eager to hear the tale of the man who transformed their village. And so the once grumpy old man became a symbol of hope and compassion, proving that it's never too late to change and make a difference. His transformation was a beacon of light for all to see. Gap to S. As Govind walked through the village, he saw children playing and sharing their toys, neighbors helping each other with chores, lending a hand whenever needed, and strangers greeting each other with warm smiles. The village had become a place where everyone felt welcome and valued. The village had transformed into a close-knit community where kindness was the norm. It was a place where people looked out for one another, creating a supportive and nurturing environment. Govind felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that his actions had sparked a positive change. He realized that his journey of kindness had come full circle. Gap 2S. One day a young boy approached Govind with a small, injured bird in his hands. "I found this bird, just like you did," the boy said, his eyes filled with hope and admiration. Govind smiled, gently taking the bird and caring for it. He saw himself in the boy, a reflection of his own journey. The cycle of kindness continued, each act inspiring another, creating an unending ripple effect. The village thrived on this newfound spirit of generosity. Gap 2S, Govind's legacy lived on, reminding everyone that a single act of kindness can change not just one life, but an entire community. The impact of his actions was felt far and wide, touching the hearts of many. And so the story of the stingy old man who became the kindest soul in the village was passed down from generation to generation, a testament to the transformative power of kindness. A timeless lesson in the power of compassion and the enduring impact of kindness. It was a story that would never be forgotten. Gap 3S. Remember, kindness is a gift everyone can afford to give. Let Govind's story inspire you to make a difference, no matter how small it may seem. Every act of kindness counts, because in the end, it's the little acts of kindness that create the biggest changes. They are the building blocks of a better world.